This video covers different types of matrices for woodblock and how to transfer a drawing to the block. There are many different types of wood to choose from. Softer woods, like pine, poplar, and cedar, are easier to carve but do not hold detail quite as well through multiple printings. Harder woods, like cherry, birch, and ash, hold up better through multiple printings, but are more difficult to carve on account of their tight grain. MDF, which stands for Medium Density Fiberboard, is an inexpensive option that enables artists to work quite large, making it a popular option for steamroller prints. Because it is made of wood fibers glued together under heat, it does not have a grain. This glue, however, contains formaldehyde, and the carving process produces quite a bit of dust, so it is a good idea to wear a mask when working with it. Like linoleum, MDF cuts easier if warmed by the sun. It does dull tools quickly though, so you'll need to strop often. Plywood is the most commonly used matrix for woodcut because it makes quality woods more affordable. When choosing your block, check that it doesn't have any knots, cracks, or warping. Choose the proper thickness for the size block you want to work on. Thinner blocks, at about 1/4 inch, are less expensive but more prone to warping when printing a larger size. 3/4 inch thickness and up is best when working with larger blocks. Wood is unique from other print matrices because you will be working with a grain. As it grows, the wood fibers follow a particular direction, and this is apparent even with plywood. The material will cut easier following the grain, but it will also be more likely to splinter in that direction. Grain also creates texture and makes the material more difficult to carve. To prepare a woodblock, begin by sanding the surface to smooth out the grain's texture. Work from about 180 grit to 220 or 320. Once the surface is nice and smooth, polish the plate using steel wool. After sanding and polishing, wipe the block down with water. This will raise the little fibers on the plate, and you may choose to sand again if you're not satisfied with the smoothness. At this point, many artists choose to stain the plate with ink or an acrylic wash to make carved areas easier to see. The transfer processes that work for linoleum all work for woodcut as well, including transfer paper, inkjet transfer, direct draw methods, and transferring loose materials such as pastel, graphite, iron oxide, and charcoal. Work to match your drawing's level of detail with the coarseness of the grain. This photo is of a demo I put together to show different transfer methods. On this block, I used school glue to transfer an inkjet print. Some of the information ended up getting lost. This block used a blender marker to transfer a laser print. This method yields excellent detail. You can also use Citrusolve or nail polish remover. This image was drawn directly on the plate with India ink. The ink does bleed a little bit, so fine details are difficult with really little plates. This block was first stained with India ink, and then the drawing was transferred using white transfer paper. For this block, the drawing was made using graphite, and then a clear acrylic varnish was painted on over the top to reduce smearing during the carving phase. I noticed that the varnish did increase splintering just a little bit. This drawing was also made directly on the plate with graphite, but the drawing was then sealed in place using a watered-down white acrylic paint. This seemed to reduce the splintering in comparison to an unsealed block. Here is a block where the image was drawn directly onto the plate with ballpoint pen and then sealed with acrylic varnish. This block was also drawn with ballpoint pen, but the image was not sealed with anything. This was a transfer made using Mod Podge and an inkjet print, and this transfer was done with wood glue and another inkjet print. It seemed to work about the same as the Mod Podge. Both were slightly superior to the school glue. Once your drawing is in place, you may choose to seal it to avoid smearing during the carving process, or if you think you may want to continue carving after printing the plate. This example demonstrates a few drawing and transfer methods with different types of sealants over the top. Here's how the sealants held up after the block was printed and excess ink off-printed onto scrap paper. And this last photo shows how the sealants held up after a light dusting with a paper towel that had some baby oil on it. That darker stripe in the center was untreated, so you can see how the drawing begins to disappear. Once your image is on the plate, you're ready to begin carving.